All right. Hello, everybody. It's time for Belovsky Science. I've um, going to try to do something I haven't done before. I'm going to try to do some work up here on the board to help some of you folks at home. And I know I'm kind of out of frame here, so I'm going to have to try to bend down to get into it, but I'm trying to get as much of the board in as possible. One of the things that we're working on right now is we're working with Punnett squares. And Punnett squares is a way that you can put allele combinations together from the male and the female and figure out what the combinations are going to be. And what the likelihood that the offspring will have certain characteristics. So I'm going to attach to this um, attached to inside of this video. Well, attached with this video will be a review sheet that kind of looks like this one right here. And I'm going to kind of walk through a couple of these right here to help you out just a little bit. Before we do, there's a couple of words that you kind of need to know, and you kind of need to know what they mean. And these words are, one of the first words that we learned was purebred. A purebred is an animal that has the same characteristics over and over again. I show my class the picture of my golden retriever. My golden retriever has characteristics that hunters like. A golden retriever is known for the characteristic of being able to go and fetch, bringing it in. And the reason why hunters like them is because golden retrievers, through their generations, have web feet, which allows them to swim in a river easy. They've got a coat that keeps them warm when they go swimming in cold water. And of course, the fetch technique that they do. Now, another way of saying purebred, I'm going to put purebred, is also equal to another term that we use quite often when we're teaching this, which is homozygous. Homozygous means that you have the same allele combination. And I'm going to put same. And when I say that, what I mean by is when we're putting these alleles up, we are talking about having the same lowercase or uppercase. So let's say, for example, if we were using the letter, I don't know, if we were using the letter T for tall, okay, well then this individual would have capital T, or as I say, big T, big T. Okay. Now that's not the only purebred or homozygous that you could come across. You could also have little t, little t. Now remember, I just picked the letter T. It could be any. Remember, these variables they stand for any characteristic. But anyway, you've got little, big, big. So that means that it's purebred, homozygous, the same. Okay. Now there's another term. Okay. A hybrid, which, and of course I always do that. A hybrid is the same as a heterozygous. And basically what I tell the kids to remember is that is different. And if we were using the letter T's here, it would be big T, little t. Okay. So that means that you've got a dominant allele and you've got a recessive allele. Now remember, when dominant is present, it makes the recessive allele run and hide. So if this was tall and the little t were short, then the tall would show through because the little short would run and hide because it's recessive in the presence of the dominant t. All right, so there's a couple of things that you just need to remember as we go through and as we fill these in. Now, I'm going to do a couple of these for you here. What I need for you to do is I need for you to complete this paper and send it back to me. Now, how you send it back to me, what would be great is in an email so that I can give you credit for it. All right, so what I would do is I would go look for this paper. It's going to be at the bottom of this assignment or in this material list with this video. Make a copy of it and then sit there and watch me as I do this. All right, I'm going to find a color that's a little bit darker here. All right. When you draw your Punnett square, make sure that you draw your Punnett square so that you've got a little bit of room at the top and on the side. Now, at the top is where your male always goes. If you have male character, when you identify what the male is, the female is off over here to the side. Okay? Now, if you look at your sheet, look at number 1. It says cross big T, little t, with little t, little t. Well, you don't have a male or a female identified. So go with the first one that you see, and that's your male. So big T, little t. There you go. And it says that the female is little t, little t. Now, how do you fill in the Punnett square? Well, what I tell my classes is remember elevators and sidewalks. Elevators make their way down, and sidewalks make their way to the side. In other words, the big T goes down a floor. This big T goes down a floor. Little t goes down a floor. Little t goes down a floor. Okay? Now, let's use sidewalks. This little t moves over sideways. This little t moves over sideways. This little t moves over sideways. And that little t moves over sideways as well. Okay, so what you've got now, in this situation, the big T stands for tall. The little t stands for short. So this right here is tall. This is tall. This is short. And this is short. Now, if you're wondering, but there's a little t in there, would that not help to make it short? No. The dominant big T casts out that little t. So the little t does not show through. So you're going to have tall characteristics. All right. Now, the next thing that you must do is something that is called phenotypes. What does phenotype mean? Well, that's a characteristic. And in this situation, it's going to be usually characteristics that you can see, that you can physically see. For example, I'm going to put a P right here and circle it. That tells me, hey, Mr. Belufsky, right here, I'm working on phenotypes. And here's what you do. Phenotypes represents what you can see. And what we're talking about here are things that are tall and short. So what you do is put big T is equal to tall, and little t is equal to short. Okay. Now you count how many do you have in the Punnett square. Do not look on the outside, only look on the inside. 1, 2. There's 2 talls, so there's 4 squares in all. So we're going to put a fraction over 4. All right. There's 2 talls. 1, 2. There are 2 shorts. 1, 2. 2 over 4. Now, your math teachers would kill you if you left it that way. But in here, what we're going to do is we're just going to say 50% and be done with it. Because that represents 2 of the 4 squares. And we're happy with that right there. Okay? All right. Now then, so you're done with phenotype now. Phenotype is tall and short. Remember, phenotype is what you see. Okay? You can see tall and short. Okay, now off to your side, because these things are just kind of, you got to put them out to the side here. Put a G, and G represents what is called genotype. Now, genotype represents allele combinations. What are allele combinations? Well, let's look in here. I see big T, little t. Big T, little t. All right. I also see little t, little t. This big T, little t will give you something that is tall. Little t will give you something that is short. How many talls are there? All right, once again, it's the same thing. There are 2 over 4, which is 50%. 2 over 4, which is 50%. There we go. Okay, so with that information, you now can answer numbers 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so what I want you to do now is I want you to hit pause, and I want you to see if you can do 2 or 3 on your own. If you have trouble, if you get stuck, rewind this video and go back and see what you did wrong. Okay? All right, so hit pause now. All right, so now you have answered numbers 1, 2, and 3. Let's move ahead a little bit. I'm going to do number 4 for you now. I would suggest that you do number 4 on your own, or at least read it to yourself before you move on. When you look at number 4, it says cross homozygous short with heterozygous tall. All right, so here are those H words. We got to figure out what in the world they mean. Okay, so let's draw a Punnett square. Okay, the first part says cross heterozygous short with a heterozygous tall. Well, what you've got to do is you got to figure out what your male is. Well, remember I told you the first thing is the male. The first thing that you can identify, or the first one that is shown, is the male. So here it says homozygous short. Homozygous. What does that mean? We just said earlier, homozygous means same. So what that tells you is that we're going to have the same alleles across the top up here. What letter are we working with? Well, we're still working with T's here, tall and short. Okay, so homozygous short. Well, if you read there, it says short is little t. So if it's homozygous, it's got to be 2 little t's because they're the same. Little t, little t. Okay, let's see what the female says. The female, it says heterozygous tall. Heterozygous means different. This one's easy. Since it's different, we don't have to figure out if it's tall or short. All we got to do is put different letters, and we're using the letter T, so we're going to put different size letters. Big T, little t. Okay? And then fill in your Punnett square. This little t drops down in the elevator. 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 This big T moves on the sidewalk across. This big T moves on the sidewalk across. This little t moves on the sidewalk across. And this little t moves on the sidewalk across, like so. So that should be, that right there is how you should have your Punnett square filled in. Across the top, big T, little t. Across the bottom, all little t's. Okay? Time to do the Punnett square, or the phenotype. Remember, phenotype is what do you see? And here we're working with tall and short still. Big T equals tall. 1, 2, still. 2 over 4, 50%. Short, little t, is equal to short, which is still 2 of them right there. 2 over 4, which is 50%. Mr. Belovsky, there's little t's up there. It doesn't matter because there's a big T present. So it doesn't matter. But here we have little shorts because there's not a big T present. All right. Genotype. This is where we figure out your allele combinations. I see big T, little t. That will give you a tall, and that is 2/4. 50%. I'm running out of room. All right. I say little t, little t. Okay. That's a short. I'm running out of room. 2/4, 50%. Okay. Now, I know both the ones that we did basically came out to the same numbers with the phenotypes and genotypes. And I probably should have planned that out a little bit better. I probably should have had some that had different numbers. But hopefully, if you listen to me walk through them, hopefully you understand how to fill it in. If you got any questions, send me an email. I am, and you need to make sure that you take a look at the stream. Because in the stream on the previous page, I have listed things that you have due coming up on Tuesday. And I'm going to see if I can remember it using my mind power here. You've got Chapter 4, Section 1 review. You've got Chapter 4, Section 2 review. You've got Chapter 4, Section 3 review. Now, before you stroke out, if you'll remember, I've told you that we've done these already in the past, and I told the classes that we'll be turning these in at a later date. So it's time for that later date. We're going to turn them in here in the new 4th 9 weeks. That way, that should be easy grades for you. You should be able to get the 9 weeks off to a really good start. The warm-up that was due on Friday. So the warm-up and the last day attached to it was 3/12 is due as well. Now, usually I have it due on Saturday. I'm making this one due tomorrow so I can count it towards this new 9 weeks. So that is due tomorrow. Okay. And when you turn this paper in, when you do all 5 of these, take a picture and turn it in, and you're going to get a grade for it too. So hopefully all these good, easy grades will get you off to a good start for this last 9 weeks. Isn't it good to still be in school? This time last year we were shutting down. So it's good to still be back in school. It's still good to, it's good thinking, maybe we've got a summer heading for us that we can actually enjoy ourselves this year, but we still have hard work to do. So we got to work hard. We got to get something accomplished. Not necessarily hard work. We've just got stuff that we still got to get done. So anyway, send me an email if you got any questions. We'll talk to y'all later on.